A lot of phone calls yesterday from fans. They were talking about the NFL goes out of its way to protect Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs.
Yep.
They get all the calls.
Yep.
And look, I understand, two of those calls with Mahomes should have gone the other way. Nothing should have been called, in my opinion.
I agree.
Do I think he flaunts the, hey, look at me, you can't touch me? Yes, I do.
I agree.
But I don't, when fans get into the conspiracy theory of, the NFL wants the Chiefs to win, that's where they lose me. What?
I agree. They take it too far. Yeah. They take it too far. But Dan, let's be honest. They get every call known to man. I mean, and then Mahomes, then he flaunts it by trying to steal another 15 yards. It cost him a field goal in the first drive of the game. They would have had a punt. It spearheaded their touchdown drive on that 15-yard penalty. They got a call against the Raiders where the Raiders recovered the fumble. And then they said, oh, no, it was an illegal procedure, so the call had to been stopped. So the play was no play. That was the Friday after Thanksgiving. They called the two penalties, and somehow Goodell must have gotten on the phone and told the official, hey, call the other one because let's call the play dead. It never occurred. I didn't understand that. They got a call against Philadelphia in the Super Bowl. I never would have called that hold, which ruined the game because then they can just, take three knees and kick the game-winning field goal. That call I do not make under any circumstances. And they're great. Reed's great. Mahomes is the great. We all understand that. That's a great franchise. Hunt's great owner. We get that. But I don't know how anybody could sit there and watch the Chiefs over the last 8-9 years and think they don't get any calls. A lot of the Chief fan will bring up, well, how about the offsides that cost us the game against New England? He was 20 feet offsides. You had to call that. How about the left tackle who always moves early, who they never make that call when he moves early? He moves early every single time, and they never make the call. They made it once this week, thank God. But generally, they never call that. I'm chiefed out, Dan. I'm chiefed out. And now all of a sudden, Caitlin Clark is a Chief fan. Let me get this straight. We watched Caitlin, a wonderful athlete, great. We all know how great she is, great for the sport. I never saw her once wear a Chief jersey, wear a Chief hat, have her father wear the Chiefs, and now all of a sudden she's a huge Chief fan? Oh, come on. I think of myself, I think America's had enough with Kansas City. Dan, I'm rooting so hard for Buffalo on Sunday afternoon. I'm going to beg that Allen finally gets to a Super Bowl.
Caitlin Clark has announced her fandom with the Chiefs years ago.
I never heard that.
Yeah.
Did she?
Yes.
She's a Chief fan. She knows about.
Yes, Mahomes. Yes, she's been to. Yes.
She knows about Super Bowl
No, she wasn't born yet.
Yeah, still should know your team's
She may know about Jamal Charles. I don't know, Chris, but she doesn't know. Who is it? Fred the Hammer Williamson.
Does she know about Miami, Kansas City double overtime, 27-24 on Christmas for one of the most famous games in the history of the National Football League?
Probably not. Probably not.
You know what I'm saying. What I'm saying.
I know.
Dan, you're not chiefed out? You're not chiefed out, Dan?
Oh, I am. But whose fault is it that they show Caitlin Clark or they show Taylor Swift? It's not Caitlin Clark and Taylor Swift. So why don't you call your network friends? Why don't you call your bosses that Sean McManus?
Here's one. Good point. Good job, Danny. Last year, I had McManus on because CBS had the game, and obviously it had all the cheap games. And Sean made a big deal about how they only showed Swift I had him on at the Masters before his last event. And I asked him about Swift at the Super Bowl. I says, he only showed it for like 3 minutes. What he didn't tell me, he showed them 38 times during that game in the booth. 38 times. Enough already. I get it. She likes the Chiefs. Her boyfriend's the tight end.
It's not her fault, Chris.
She watched the football.
It's not her. What can she say? Hey, I don't want you to put the camera on me.
I agree. So I'll blame it on the networks. Is that what you want me to say?
I mean, they show Robert Kraft. Do you get upset when they cut away to Robert?
He owns the team, Danny. He owns the ball club.
Who wants to see Robert Kraft?
Oh, I get it. I get it.
Jerry Jones getting his glasses cleaned. It's entertainment, Chris.
You're not chiefed out, Dan?
Yes I am because they're so good.
Mahomes doesn't get every call known to man.
That might be true. But see, I don't want that to cloud our judgment, Chris. That he is unbelievable. And I made this mistake with Bjorn Borg. I didn't like Borg because he stood in the way of John McEnroe. He always beat John, and I hated Borg for no other reason. So I missed that entire run. How great he was, because my mind was like, God, I don't like him because he beats John McEnroe. Mahomes is so, this is rarefied air.
Now, remember, that's fair. Last year, I went on everywhere and said he's the best quarterback, greatest quarterback I've ever seen. I did it all. I did it on first. They all laughed at me. How's he better than Brady? How's he better than this, that, and the other? You and I go back far enough. You saw Unitas. You and I are about the same age. You saw Unitas. You and I saw Staubach. We've heard of Sammy Baugh. We've heard of Otto Graham. Yeah. Shula at the New Orleans Super Bowl, and that would have been the Pittsburgh. No, that would have been San Francisco, Baltimore. I had Don Shula on. I'm sure you had him on that same week. He came in a wheelchair, and we were talking about great quarterbacks. I think the first thing he said, don't forget about Otto. Don't forget about Otto Graham. So you and I know the quarterbacks, and I think Mahomes is the greatest quarterback I've ever seen. I can't give him a better compliment than that. And I think you probably feel the same way.
I have a picture that Paulie just got me. Caitlin Clark looks like she's about 8 years old. She's with her cousins, and she has her Chiefs jersey on.
Are you guys with Caitlin Clark now?
Would you like to issue an apology?
Is she, Hank Stram now? I guess I shouldn't be picking on Caitlin Clark. I'm chiefed out.
Okay, let me.
And the calls, and Dan, those calls on Saturday were Bush League. Those are Bush League calls.